Our elegant clubhouse was built in the 1890s by industrialist Albert Botswick as a 22-bedroom, 22-bath home named Virgimere. Mr. Botswick was a yachtsman and an enthusiastic horseman, so the property boasted a beautiful stable.
In a latter incarnation, the estate became Oaksmere, the Merrill School for Girls. In 1925, the property was purchased by 5 members of Quaker Ridge Golf Club at a cost of $550,000 for the purpose of founding a club on the water. In 1926, Beach Point Club officially opened.
My grandparents, Sam and Marion Schweitzer, my mom's mom and dad, who were founders of Beach Point in 1925.
We think 1973 or 74, we're not quite sure.
Is when we joined.
When we joined, but I grew up here. So I've actually been a member my whole life, since 1949.
We joined Beach Point in 2017.
My parents joined in 72, I joined in 94.
We were members over 50 years.
I've been here 51 years.
I started in 1996, so I guess 29 years.
I've been a member of Beach Point since 1961. My parents were members of Beach Point, I think, since 1942 or something.
In 1972, I'm gonna cry when I answer that. I've been here with my Davies family since I was 13 years old.
I probably was 13 years old.
When I joined, my initiation fee was $200.
1953.
My parents joined in 1943 when I was 13 years old.
I joined the club on my own right in 1955.
I joined Beach Point Club
in 1976, just almost exactly 30 years ago.
In 1970.
1957. 1942. Could be 72, 73.
In 1951.
Go ahead.
We joined in 1972.
When I married Bob, I also married Beach Point.
Since I was 13 years old. And I just 2 weeks ago turned 93. So I've been here for 80 years, and this is my second home.
Beach Point to me has just always been a second home. I have been a member of Beach Point my entire life. Okay, I'm a 3rd generation Beach Pointer, if that's a word. And we're thrilled that our daughter is now a 4th generation Beach Pointer.
Since 1993, when I married into the Beach Point family and was married out on the wedding lawn.
Well, we became members in 1989 when we got married. And my grandmother, for our wedding present, she gave us the money to join. And that was very special because she too was a member, as was my grandfather and my father.
But we each grew up at the club. Emily actually was here since birth. I joined and didn't join, but my parents joined when I was at the age of 13.
I don't know when I joined with my husband, but my parents joined in 48.
51 years in my own name. Alice Netter. My mother joined the club in 1941, and as far as I know, she was the first single female member of Beach Point Club.
And I'm here just about 50 years, and I'm forever getting out of my chair and taking a picture of the moon and the stars and the sea and the sparkle. We're really blessed to have this place.
The Merrill School built a large gymnasium that caught fire in 1937 and burnt to the ground. The insurance proceeds from that fire helped Beach Point survive the Great Depression and the war years of reduced memberships.
It also funded the creation of the Winter House, which sits on top of the old gymnasium swimming pool as a replacement facility for the club's popular day camp. Thousands of member children have enjoyed growing up while learning to swim, play, tennis, and sail at Beach Point Camp. I will not sing you the song that goes with it, Beach Point Camp.
The camp is full, and the camp is one of the great treats. My children went to the camp, made friends that they're friendly with till this day. Their children went to the day camp and have made friends that are their best friends today.
We all grew up together at Beach Point back I think when we were probably about 5 years old, 4 years old.
Maybe younger. I think at the camp really is where we all met. Did you?
Jack and Charlie were in Mommy and Me at the day camp. So I think they must have been 2 years old.
We met a lot of lifelong friends in the day camp who we're still close with now.
From the moment the day camp was started, swim lessons have always been a huge part of the camp. I learned how to swim here. I can't even begin to imagine. I would think that at least thousands of people have learned how to swim here.
Campers, swimmers, dancers, singers, you are right. I believe in you. Love that.
I remember loving day camp. My mother's got in my photo album a certificate where I was Girl Camper of the Summer in 1965, I think.
I learned how to play tennis at Beach Point Camp. Russ was the pro. He was amazing.
I remember Russ, and he would be in below-the-knee white shorts, and often a white, cream white.
And my fondest memories are learning tennis at Beach Point with Russ Phillips.
And kickball and arts and crafts, and until you got the new arts and crafts house, it smelled the same. I would go back when I was visiting and walk in and you're 5 years old again.
I've been to Beach Point Camp for 6 years, and Beach Point is my favorite place on earth.
And I still think one of my biggest contributions to the club was finding Marlene, who ran the day camp for years. Everyone fell in love with her, and she really changed the camp.
What I've always enjoyed in the years when the little ones were in the summer camp was coming to what was really the day for the parents, but being a grandparent and being here to watch them perform.
There was a camp show every year.
There was also the camp show.
And it was at the band shell.
Which was out here on the band shell.
And it was one of the scarring moments of my life because I think it was my mother's idea. She thought it was really cute that I would wear a yellow bikini.
Probably the one I think that I remember the most, we did The Wizard of Oz. I'm sure it wouldn't surprise anybody here to know that I was a munchkin.
I played the Cowardly Lion. That was my big breakout role. And really, in all seriousness, that really was kind of the start of me becoming an actor.
When you perform at the end, it's really fun to practice because then you learn everything. And then picking out your song and finally rehearsing and memorizing everything and looking at how many people came to see you perform is really fun.
A million could never buy. We got a party like it's 3012 tonight. I want to show you all the finer things in life. So just forget it.
Definitely my favorite memories of childhood, period, were the camp. That's what I love. When I think about growing up, I always inevitably will go to summer. And that was because of the time at the camp, because of the friends and first crushes. Of course,
never knew.
That's because your brother was my best friend. That's why you didn't know.
Immediately after the club was purchased, the present beach was created by blasting rock, hauling in sand, and constructing the sea wall and 2 breakwaters. A swimming and diving pier was built on top of the easterly pier as swimming in Long Island Sound was extremely popular. Bathhouses and locker rooms were constructed for the opening in 1926.
That walk down the path, I have my sunglasses on, and the sun is just glistening, and it's, shining off the water and the sound, and You just leave all your troubles behind in the parking lot. You just feel like you're on vacation and you're in a legit happy place.
It's spectacular. When you come on the property, you can feel the gates close behind you and the world is left on the outside. And you would really think that you're at a resort, you know, on the Cape or a great resort anywhere in the world.
In the early days, the beach was both crowded and colorful. Club equipment was not available, and sunbathers supplied their own chairs, umbrellas, and towels. Bathers were almost fully clothed, and young ladies who removed their stockings before entering the water were frowned upon as brazen.
Oh God, I can't remember. One of the grannies, you know, she was always checking up on people. She was shocked when the first person wore a bikini. And there was only one person wearing and it was a bikini. It was like nothing. And she was a knockout. I can't remember her name. And she was a knockout. She was stunning. Well, all the grannies, they were just like, the next summer, everybody was wearing bikinis. Like, I think even they were.
As the years evolved, the club bought and supplied everything that was needed, including thousands of towels annually.
Beach Boy!
I was at a non-member's house in Killington, Vermont, and my friends and I had just come in from a day of skiing, and she threw us a beach point towel to wipe off our shoes. And I was like, where did this come from? Did I bring this in my car? And she's like, no, it's been around the house for years. We have no idea how it got here.
The finishing touches to the waterfront included the creation of Sam's Point, an adult-only area in 1964, and the acquisition of the York Lodge property in 1982.
Also, there was a large group of young people, college age maybe, and we had the best times. We had illegal parties on the beach at night, and that was when I learned to drink beer.
1 year, and I still have it. The family took a photograph of me with then, I think, 3-year-old Scarlett walking towards the water holding hands. And they put that photograph on a shirt for me, and that memory has stayed with me always.
Saturday night dances were often wild at the band show.
So it was very formal and very dressy and very glamorous. You know, we had the band shell down, and it was just like something out of F. Scott Fitzgerald. It was really, really beautiful.
We used to look forward to Saturday night because there was cocktails first, and then the dancing afterwards. It was a lot of fun.
Most of the young people came just for the dancing. We didn't come for dinner. That was a little, much for us. So we came out, we started our dates at about, say, 9 o'clock or something like that.
Nellie and I were we're pretty good dancers, and we like dancing a lot. And in those days, there was a lot of dancing at the club. And so we used to come to, anytime there was a dance, we would come here.
Dancing was very important. You had to know how to dance. If you were a good dancer, you were ahead of the game, very popular. And so dancing, and 2 Ds, dancing, dressing.
We all dressed in not suits, sport jackets and ties.
My husband had a neck operation, couldn't wear a tie, and he had to have a doctor's letter on file in what is now Randy's office that he was exempt from wearing a tie.
And it was the tail end of the big band era. And we had some of them here at Beach Point.
The young men who weren't married used to come up to dances and sleep here someplace, in the attic or something, with the bands, like Benny Goodman's band and all the other bands of the day.
Who was the guy who gave out the hats? Lester Lannon.
I can still remember Lester Lannon. And we had Lester Lannon caps. And now when Randy said that we're going to have Lester Lannon in a band for the 100th anniversary, it really tickled me.
We came around 42 to come into the harbor. I could hear music coming, a dance that was outdoors at Beach Point at the band shell. And I believe Lester Lannon was the band. And there was one particular member of Beach Point who had a great voice, and his last name was Dessaw. And he's the father of Steve Dessaw, who is a member at Beach Point. From way, way out in the water, we could hear him singing together with the band, and they serenaded us all the way into the harbor.
In the early 50s, when the club considered building its first swimming pool, by a vote of 140 to 101, the membership disapproved of the project, as most members preferred swimming in the Sound.
The project finally passed in 1953, and the original pool lasted 55 years until a new pool complex was built in 2010.
I did learn how to swim there at Beach Point.
My favorite memories of Beach Point are dated way, way back. I learned how to swim in the original round kiddie pool. My father stood at the other side of the pool and said, "Swim to the drain." And I said, "Swim? What is this verb, swim?" But I did learn to swim there, and now the pool remains one of my favorite places on earth, to swim in that pool with my friends who also love that pool.
We had the Labor Day races in September every year, and those were a 2-day event with heats and multiple races.
I always came in last in all the races with a couple of friends who I won't name.
The pool with the diving board before it got taken away.
Jumping off the high board was always a little scary, but you felt good after you'd done it. And I think they had enough kids fall off the board, I think mostly slipping off the ladder on the way up, that they got rid of it.
It was frightening. Some of those kids still belong to Beach Point.
I was climbing up the high dive and slipped on the last, rung and fell back, and luckily I'm here to tell the story, but I was like a 6-year-old kid, but got back up there and did it again. I was fine. They took it down years later when they redid the pool. The year that I joined, they redid the pool.
But the important part is everybody thinks you landed on a different part of your body. What did you actually land on?
I believe that I was told that I landed on my butt and bounced, and I didn't break a bone.
And at that time, we actually built a pool. That was the one enterprise that was involved during my presidency. We did have a guy, Tony Spencer, and he was very helpful.
So I had the honor of being the pool, beach, and bathhouse committee chair. And we had gotten to the point where we were having a lot of problems with the original pool. And we found that structurally it was not sound. So I came out one day at the end of a season, did some measurements on some large graph paper and crayons and gave them to Randy, and I said, "Here's our new pool." And he said, "Okay, it's going to be a process, but we've got to go through and get everybody in line. But why did you want the pool the way it was designed?" And I said, "We've always had problems with catering to each different constituent, whether it was campers during the summer and coming in for their swim lessons, some of the older members that were coming in for water exercise class, lap swimmers that needed space. And what I thought of was everybody being able to use the pool at the same time. And that's why it's 8 lanes wide and 25 meters long. Originally, we had 5 lanes and it was 30 yards long.
My favorite memory of Beach Point of what I was when I was 2 and 1, and I got to sit in the kiddie pool with at the shallow end with my cousins.
My granddaughter calls the kiddie pool the kitty cat pool. And when she comes and it's not swimming season, she's very confused that Beach Point exists beyond that.
Mike Mariani always taught us how to swim, and he was always shirtless and very tan at the pool. I don't know if he ever put any sunscreen on or was ever in the shade, but he was always a force at the pool, always helping us out.
Adults have come and taken swim clinics that I originally offered, and now our new pool director, Rick, has been offering to refine people's techniques. So at any age, I don't think it's just children that have learned how to swim, but adults as well have become more comfortable in the pool and enjoyed the swimming part of it.
Being in that pool, when the sun is shining, the sun is reflected in the water, I'm carried away by it.
We all learned how to swim here. We all spent time at the kiddie pool. We all spent time at the big pool. And then we all brought up our kids here. And I remember us all sitting around the kiddie pool, 20 years ago, all with our kids. And then we'd graduate to the big pool. Now we've graduated to Sam's Point. And I mean, I know that I hope at some point, not in the very near future, but maybe in the medium future, I really look forward to being back at the kiddie pool and being able to sit on the edge and watch my grandchildren one day, although I'm not rushing that.
The use of the Long Island Sound dates to 1927, when the club purchased its first rowboat to perform tender service to mooring.
Routine sailing activities, including the creation of a junior sailing program in 1939, continued until 1950, when the club officially established Beach Point Yacht Club to better participate in the Yacht Racing Association of America.
BPYC has been home to many accomplished sailors and is most well known for establishing the Beach Point Junior Overnight Race on cruising boats in 1958, which is still a fixture on the Sound.
Actually, it was when I got married, I said, if you want to play golf, we can join Quaker Ridge. If you want to sail, we can be at Beach Point. And Bevan was a major sailor. He was a round-the-world sailor. So he chose Beach Point because, had boats.
I guess it must have been the early 80s. Mike Stuntz and I were sitting out on Sam's Point one day watching all the sailboats going in and out. And we started talking about, wouldn't it be nice if we were doing that? Neither of us had experience sailing bigger boats, so we took a class at City Island. We bought a boat together. That first sailboat, there have been several storms here, which have not been good for the club and the marina. And in a storm, it must have been in the early 90s, our sailboat ended up on the hill behind where the office is.
You'll always find us down by the water, sailing on the Ideal 18s and Hobies. I take the Ideal 18s out with my family for pleasure cruises, to just enjoy the water and get away from the hustle and bustle of day-to-day.
There was a Lloyd's Register of Yachts, pleasure yachts. We want something original. I was a surgeon, and it was the only boat named Scalpel, which meant one of two things. We were the only original surgeons, or the surgeons were too busy to go sailing.
My father sailed here in his early days with Bus Mossbacher, who became an America's Cup champion sailor. And my father really enjoyed those days on the water.
Beach Point Yacht Club's reputation on Long Island Sound is long and varied, from some America's Cup skippers coming from Beach Point to most recently Andy Burden winning a Bermuda race on his boat. Beach Point has been developing junior sailors for decades.
And Laura took a junior sailing class here that was new at the time, and they used our boat.
We created the program because we had a group of us, kids of similar age. We hired an instructor and they learned how to sail the sailboat out of the yacht club. I think that was the impetus that, years later, now it's a much
To
more
rebuild
formal
it.
program.
And I think the graduation was they were in the boat without the instructor.
That was very
and we
scary.
watched.
We went out and watched from the chase boat as they sailed our sailboat around out here. And that was a graduation.
When I was at camp, we used to go get rides on the tender with Chick, who used to run the program.
Chick was the dockmaster and Bruce was his assistant. And Chick was really hard on Bruce. But when Chick retired, Bruce became dockmaster. And he was very knowledgeable and very helpful.
Beach Point is known as one of the great hosts of junior sailing. Optimania is our annual Green Fleet Regatta for Opti, for first-year Opti racers. Everyone around Long Island Sound looks forward to the Beach Point overnight and is a high point in most junior sailors' career.
We had 2 boats at the overnight. I was on one boat and with a bunch of my friends, and the other boat was skippered by Bruce Mossbacker, whose father, Bus Mossbacker, was the advisor on that boat. We were watching them with binoculars, and Bus Mossbacker came out of the cabin with a pair of binoculars, and he looked around with his binoculars at the shore, at the water, at the other shore, and that boat went off on a different tack, and we never saw that boat again.
Beach Point's annual commissioning is one of my favorite days of the year. The fanfare and dress of the club make it really special. From flags everywhere to cannons going off, and everyone dressed to the nines in their yacht club attire make it a really special event.
I remember going to a yacht club commissioning. The anniversary of the yacht club was 75 years, and they were talking about it. But here we are, Beach Point, 100 years, 100 years. It's even older than I am.
Special people have made Beach Point the unique and wonderful place it is today. Since the club opened, it has been fortunate to have many talented and dedicated individuals on its team and has only had 2 different general managers in the past 50 years.
Many have contributed significantly to the very essence of Beach Point and live on in the memories of those members privileged to know them. Countless staff have served over 20, 30, 40, and 50 years, and each has been an integral part of the Beach Point family. Signed, Pooch.
Eric Kaspers. Yeah, he was a real, Eric was a real gourmet. He really had that Swiss culinary training that he brought here.
Eric Kaspers was the manager at the time, and I was House Committee Chairman.
We have a long history with Alethea and Eric. 15 years ago, I was considered for the honor of the presidency of Beach Point Club. At that time, as Alan said, Eric had been telling us that he was still on a temporary basis, though it had been for 10 years. Alethea, Eric, Roberta, and I had dinner together, and I told Eric I would do it if he would do it. That is a long-term commitment on both our parts. The rest is history, an exuberant, exultant, delightful, joyous, and jubilant history.
Hi, my name is Roy Raisin. I'm president of Beach Point. Alethea's many, thank you. In Eric's 24 years here at Beach Point, he served under 9 presidents, including me. 7 of us are here tonight. I would like to call on the other 6 who will greet Eric with a song prepared by Charlie Goldschmidt and Jay Meltzer. If those presidents will now come up here.
I am not a president of Beach Point, but I'm going to lead this august body. The reason I'm not the president of Beach Point is that in the bylaws, it says that in order to be president of Beach Point, you have to be tone deaf. As you will find out. If you know Eric like I
lads as he plans our party, give sound advice. You'll eat hearty, take in the view, it's in the price. You know Eric like we know Eric. Oh, oh, what a guy.
And I was lucky enough when I was House Chair, or President, I guess, to work with Randy Ruda, who really had a vision always for excellence in every part of the operation of the club.
The best part, of course, is working with Randy, who really makes everything so much easier and better for everyone here.
You know, Randy sets the tone, and there's a warmth and a cordiality that permeates each and every person that's here. And you see it in their faces, you see it in their joy of being a part of this great enterprise. That is a thanks that I can never repay, and it's a debt of gratitude that I can never repay.
First of all, you're going to make me cry, Randy. We all adore you. You are such a great manager, and you hire such wonderful people and teach them to do great things.
They must put something in the food because they are so friendly.
And then a couple years later, we had my daughter Maya's bat mitzvah, and that was just an incredible celebration. And you know, every element of it, and working with the staff, and just the way every staff member puts so much love and care into every element of the planning, preparation, the execution.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the staff, because our Halloween haunted house is epic.
The staffers, the team members at Beach Point are all here for decades. I remember Al Zarega. Al Zarega was here for more than 50 years. Al knew my name, not my name, my generation's name, our children's name, our grandchildren's name, and everybody was greeted as if it was the grandfather greeting all his children.
So I think one of Beach Point's biggest assets is its staff. And I've had the opportunity to work with so many people, current and former employees, and it is the most impressive group of people. They work so hard and are solely dedicated to making everybody here have a wonderful experience.
There was very little interest in tennis in the early years of the club, but 5 tennis courts were still built. In fact, no one showed up to watch the 1926 tennis final. So the first men's single championship was determined by the toss of a coin.
I remember hearing from my grandpa, Sam Schweitzer, when they founded the club in 1925. And then they had a tournament, and I think my grandfather, Mr. Katzenberg, maybe flipped the coin to decide who was going to be the winner, because they played for a number of hours and now they just wanted to have lunch.
After the post-war years, tennis grew in popularity. Over the decades, more and more courts were added, and tennis camaraderie flourished. Today, 16 Hard-True tennis courts will have members waiting to play on busy weekends, pickleball courts, and a paddle tennis complex that carries the racket program into the winter season.
He was known for his drop shot. Anybody who played tennis with him knew about Bernie Stein's drop shot. It was lethal.
Shelly and I play tennis. We love tennis.
Barbara played tennis a little bit, but I played probably too much.
At the beginning, I would play tennis Saturday and Sunday morning. Amy would come with the family after, and we'd spend the entire day here.
The incident I remember most was in the men's doubles tournament. Fred Ray, who was a member then, and I were a doubles team. We were okay, but we weren't the best players in the club by any means. Somehow we got to the finals, and we were playing the 2 best tennis players at the club, and somehow we won. That memory goes down with me forever.
My daughter and her boyfriend and I were talking, and I mentioned the rules of Beach Point tennis when I first joined, and they were just shocked. And Beach Point's rules were no different than any other club I was aware of. And that is, women could not play tennis on weekends before noon unless they were working women who had a note from their employer certifying in effect that they were working. It was extremely frustrating because men, including non-working men, could play whenever they wanted. I understood the rule from the sense that people who have the ability to play other times should not have first rights on weekends, but when it didn't apply the same to men as to women, I was none too happy.
What I liked particularly about tennis also was the tennis team. The quality of instruction was terrific, and the whole camaraderie.
There was a real camaraderie. I mean, we all knew each other very well. We traveled to other clubs.
The professional staff. David Graham, David's been here probably 30 years, bringing the membership together, the guests together.
Tennis with David, countless lessons with David.
David is pretty unique in terms of his ability to see a player and make refinements, adjustments, changes that are really helpful. We've had other excellent people, both before David and after, and Vuk.
Not only David, the other people on this team watch and they can see exactly the tiniest thing you're doing wrong. And that little correction really makes such a difference.
I was also on the paddle team for many years.
I think we were very big with tennis is very important. More recently, paddle became important. That was a little more recent.
This pickle and paddle courts where I'm often there during the shoulder seasons and the summer, anywhere from 3, 4, 5 times a week.
So the addition of pickleball has been huge for our family because everyone plays pickleball.
Every year we did a show. People from the club together, the people in tennis, and I remember Jay Meltzer in particular, he wrote the script and we did parodies and it brought the club together.
I remember my dad writing songs for the tennis award banquets, and they were pretty funny.
Beach Point is a place where you can meet and make friends, where you can play tennis, play pickleball, swim, sail, dine, both very informally and in a regular dining room, all different kinds of menu concepts. It's a place where you can let your kids run relatively free, where they can have the responsibility of ordering food for themselves. It's a great place for families and even for non-families, or once your children are grown.
So my analogy of Beach Point being the Ritz-Carlton on the Sound reflected both its natural beauty, its created aura of amenities, as well as the friendly, don't miss a trick service that surrounds us when we're here.
The new dining spaces, the new bar, the construction of the beach bar is such a great aspect to have at the club.
We'd have different kinds of entertainment. We'd have a sports bar or a bar down at the pavilion on the water. We did various things to really create a destination place for new families coming to the club.
It's our favorite eating place in Westchester. I think we're probably one of the better members as far as eating. If you want to hand out an award.
We've always been major users of the dining room, the pavilion. I've always enjoyed the food.
But the chefs over the years have been spectacular. And while the food was always good, today the food really is terrific. People will say, try the tuna poke, or the duck, etc. And it's always served with a smile.
I always remember lobster nights in June, like late June, and it's sort of, to me, I guess, school ended at that point for the kids, and it's sort of like, in my opinion, started the summer. Like the summer started when lobster night.
I think that's one of the highlights is the cornhole event.
that fills up every summer.
Cornhole tournament is great. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's something that I know that Jared Fisher and company implemented a few years ago, and it's always a good time. And the hats are great. I mean, that's my favorite thing. It's not about if you win or lose. You just want that great Beach Point swag.
What hat am I wearing? I think it's one of the cornhole hats. I don't know what year, 23? But I have a collection of them. That's the highlight. I actually don't really enjoy cornhole. I just do it to get the hat.
Some of the great memories, of course, are with the camp out. Not just for the kids, but for the parents as well. You know, we'd hang out in the beach bar in recent years, or by the fire pits, by the fires that we did on the beach, and the kids running around with walkie-talkies or singing or shining their flashlights on the roof.
I'm not sure the next generation plays cards. I'm not up on that. But it's important to me. It's a wonderful game. If I don't play tennis, don't do anything, I love playing bridge. That is a great game. That's a head game. It's terrific.
Men's Friday Lunch Group started in 2004 when my dad, Jay Meltzer, and some other of his buddies, good friends from tennis and from Beach Point.
I've been going to those for probably over 20 years.
We have the Friday afternoon men's group, which I either come to in person or watch over Zoom.
There are people who are members who are very knowledgeable, very articulate, very well educated, and we have some really dynamic, interesting discussions.
In fact, I remember the first annual meeting I went to was when I was going to be on the board, and Lee Starr, a longtime member, stood up and asked a question: why aren't there more women on the board, and why aren't there any women presidents? So Amy Lemley broke that barrier.
And, you know, of course, all the weddings.
The maturity process of, you know, growing older and being able to have a script and like being like, okay, this is real money or this is fake money. And when you went up there to pay, you know, you hope that you had enough in your script to pay for your meal, or you'd have to be running back to your parents.
The ticket books, you know, I always would buy myself lunch, which was a big deal for a kid, to go buy herself lunch and, you know, feel completely independent.
There was a softball game. They used to have the backstop there. And before that last bank of tennis courts was built, you had some more room in left field, but the dads used to play a softball game before, and then they'd leave, and then we'd be left to do whatever we kind of wanted to.
You married a Beach Point member, Dad, so you could continue being a member. Yes.
And my family makes fun of me because I always say Beach Point's my happy place. I mean, it really is my happy place. Like, I can come here. Where else can you walk in by yourself that, you know, it's almost like a Cheers thing, like everyone knows your name?
But most important, to be part of the ethic of the club and to really know people and have relationships where the club is really a caregiver.
The 1925 Foundation, it was formed to provide these scholarships for staff of Beach Point. There are people out there in this world that deserve a better chance at living in this world, and this, I can start with the staff, whom we know.
The heart of the club, the ethic of the club, the caring for its members as if it's family.
Once Roberta died 10 years ago, the club became even more important to me. It made my life much better.
And that is a bit of a thread back to the continuity that I think my grandfather would have liked to know was here, and probably rest easy seeing all that Beach Point has become since his instrumental actions in its founding in 1925.
Happy 100th anniversary, Beach Point.
Cheers!
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 And Congratulations to Beach Point for making 100 years.
So I say thank you to all of you. I wish you all the best, and cheers, cheers, cheers.
And here we are with this most magnificent club celebrating 100th anniversary.
Cheers! Beach Point, happy 100 years. Here's to 100 more.
Happy anniversary, Beach Point.
Yeah, yippee. Happy birthday, Beach Point.
Happy birthday, Beach Point.
Beach Point Club, 100 years of fabulous times, surviving depressions and wars and hurricanes and COVID, and we always come out strong and stronger.
Everybody loves it here, and I'm so happy I will be here the rest of my life.
Congratulations, Beach Point. Here's to another 100 years.
Cheers. Here's to the next 100.
And I'd like to say happy anniversary to Beach Point. Happy anniversary to all the people that help us, and look forward to another 100 years. I'll be looking down, but I look forward to it.
I would say that the next 100 years should be at least as good as the last 100, and hopefully even better. Cheers to all.
Cheers to everyone at Beach Point. Happy anniversary and many more wonderful years to come.
Happy first 100 years. Looking forward to the next 100 years.
Cheers to Beach Point. Congratulations on making 100, and here's to 100 more.
God bless Beach Point. And
it's been a wonderful experience to have this and know that
it's added so much to our lives.
Here's to 100 years of Beach Point, to all our friends here, and to 100 more.
Cheers to the past 100 years, and here's to the next 100 years. I hope future members love this place as much as we all do.
Hooray for Beach Point, another 100 years more.
And I wish everybody the chance to celebrate this 100th anniversary for Beach Point and congratulate Beach Point on 100 years. And I envy the people who are going to spend the next 100 years here. God bless you all, and happy anniversary, Beach Point.
My name is Lee Starr. I've been a member of the club for more years than I want to keep track of. And it's too much to ask for another repeat. But the whole amount of time that I've spent here has been delightful. And altogether, a place of happy experience. Cheers for 100 more years as equal and as good as the first 100.
Coffee ice cream.
Coffee with chocolate sprinkles.
Chocolate chip mint, whatever my kids are having.
A vanilla soft serve with lots of rainbow sprinkles.
Mint chocolate chip with M&Ms and hot fudge.
Chocolate.
Chocolate strawberry.
Cookies and cream.
Chocolate chip mint.
Chocolate chip mint.
Chocolate chip mint.
The vanilla soft serve at the pavilion.
Mint chocolate chip.
Strawberry with rainbow sprinkles.
Coffee ice cream cones when I was a child.
I always tell people I'm a chocolate freak.
Coffee.
Half a scoop of coffee and half a scoop of mint chip.
I know Longford's mint chocolate chip is extremely popular. In fact, I believe it was Father's Day last year where there were 2 different ice cream carts, only one of which had that flavor. And that ice cream cart had a really long line for people to get ice cream, and the one that did not had a very short line. So I think that's sort of proof of its popularity.